All right, guys. I hope you're having a wonderful new year, first day, and I want to share something important with you. This is actually based off of what happened in the market on Tuesday. We were watching oil and the ruble and Russia, and I noticed stuff, and I started looking into it after market, came across some things, and I thought it'd be cool to share with you guys. So I want to talk about Russia. A lot of people aren't aware. Russia exited a recession in 2017. And quite frankly, I think they're about to hit a back-to-back recession, bringing Russia into a depression. I used to think the crash was really caused by China and the emerging growth, but as we'll see on the charts with oil, and I was already aware of this prior, but I just didn't give it that much influence. It really, any economic stuff did start with Russia in 2014. It had a spillover, and that's what I want to talk about. I want to go over that. I'm going to go over the Russia financial crisis, which a lot of people are not aware of, which happened in 2014 to 2015. I'm going to talk about the one in 1998, but then I want to show you a little trick here of what's going on, and it's related to oil. And this is why I was pretty much, to get into it on on Monday. This was the ruble. So, well, that was yeah. So here's the ruble. You could take a look, and I don't know if it's because it's New Year's, but I think, where was it? Was it the 31st? Yeah. Oh yeah. No, so this isn't even showing us today. But yeah, we started seeing it go haywire. And if you look at the ruble, why did it not let me back out? But pretty much this was, when I was seeing it, it looked like they were stepping in. And, I'm going to show you guys how Russia has done that in the past, but that's not the main point. That just caught my attention, and oil was moving pretty wacky. And I know coming in 2019, there might be more sanctions on Russia, which caused 2014. And again, this is what happened to the ruble. And this is the first, that's when oil started dropping. And it literally, what I'm trying to say that's so scary or freaking me out, this is exact deja vu of 2015, coming into 2015. Same exact November, December, same week January, or same week December, same week January. And this is literally what I'm expecting here. We have this little bounce. If we'll flush to another level, bounce up between earnings, maybe come back one more, bounce, and then come second half 19, this is where the problems happen. But it's a carbon copy. It literally is. It does. If that doesn't look exactly like November, and we're about hitting right here or right here, I don't know what does. But it's even the situation politically. But this is what I want to share that blows people's mind, because Russia plays an important role with oil. More than half of their budget comes from it, and this is the trick. This is why you watch the currency with oil, because pretty much as you see here, oil dropped from 100 in 2014, and as it did, Russia weakened their currency. And when we read about it, you're going to see that's exactly what they did, but it was strategic. And this is what I want to share, because this is why when you look at the ruble, it's back at this level, is that they use the ruble very strategically. Even how they used to fight the sanctions. I showed a video where Russia was destroying food pretty much after 2014, and the effect of weakening the currency. Putin wanted the pain. In a sense, he wanted his country to go through it, because if they could fight that temporary pain of not importing food and dealing with the sanctions and building it, it forces them to produce more domestically. It would have had a better result, and they did get through it. Unlike the 1998 financial crisis, people were pissed off, but not as pissed off. Putin is a fan favorite, and he got things going, and they exited recession in 2017. But I'm going to show you how he did it with his budget and balancing in oil. And yeah, so their number one export is oil. Oil is traded in dollars. Okay, so oil right now is at 45.81. But this is what you have to see. What he does is pretty much he weakens the currency, because even though he sells the dollar in oils, or he sells the oil in dollars, he collects dollars and then converts it back to rubles. But my theory is that you see these fluctuations. You guys might think this looks like a stock market chart, but this is absolutely insane. This is someone's currency going from $1 equals 33 rubles in July to end of the year. $1 equals 70 rubles. You literally lost about 100% of your value in your currency, and then it went up to almost 90. That's insane. These are big moves. So these are 50% moves in the currency in months. So that's big. And this is where I'm saying, looking at what I saw on Monday, they will intervene. And when you see intervention on the open market, it is usually related to oil, nothing else with Russia, because that's all that affects them for the most part. And financials, and I'm going to talk about, because I have a plan to short this and how to play it, because that has been the question with the CLO. So we will talk about that. But let me show you what happens here. So here's the ruble, and let's say it gets to the weakest point in 2014. Let's pick one of these days. I think it's like August or January 29th or something. 29th, 27th, the ruble is at, let's say 68.57, okay? On what? January 20, let's see when oil's the lowest. So just notice, come on, yalla. January 26, right here, right? I think they're about the same. So oil's at 44.55. I think that's what it even says on. We'll do 44.55, I guess. Yeah, 44.55. So this is what happens. It's at 44.55. The ruble is going to be at what? What did we say? I think we got to set an official price here. 68.81. So 68.81 and 44.45. Okay. So 68.81. So $1 equals 64 rubles. That's how you read this, right? That's the conversion rate right now. So at the time, $1 got you 68 rubles and 81 cents. So if you had, the price of oil was at the time $44.45, right? So they sell a barrel of oil, Russia, then they sell it in dollars. So they get $44.45 in dollars, right? But then they hold the dollar. So this is something, I'll show you the next thing, Russia's foreign exchange reserves, because that's how countries work. They collect the money, and if they have to make other payouts, they won't exchange it. They'll keep it there, or they hold it, and they'll hold foreign exchange reserves and change them over at a different time. And this is what I'm suspecting, because $44 at $68.81 at that conversion rate at the time, right? He would be getting 3,058 rubles, right? That would be coming into the Russian government, right? So then, divide that by 68.81, 44.45, right? So 68.81, we're back here at, that's how many rubles. So they sell one barrel of oil, they collect $44, which at the conversion rate in January would convert to 3,058 rubles or $44. But now what happens is, look at the ruble and look at the price of oil. They go hand in hand pretty much. You see here, January bottoms, comes up in February, bottoms again in March, and then by May it's done. Same thing here. January, it gets weakness. February, March, it starts to come back down. April, May, it's lower, but then it starts to go crazy again in September. And oil, you would think oil was recovered by then, but oil was doing better while Russia was dropping, and then they converged again. And then it led all the way into 2015 in August, and then it got ugly. And Russia was right there with their currency. You could see it because this is what they would do. That was just January. We'll do the same thing over here, but they weaken the currency with the price of oil, because then it was at 46, right? But they wait, because then they'll wait. Look at their currency now. They'll either wait 6 months, a couple months, even if he sold that in January, they'll wait till May or March, the next quarter, to exchange the rubles back. Now look at the conversion rate. So now he has 3,048 rubles, but now the conversion rate effectively dropped to 48.41. So instead of dividing this by 68, divide this by 48.41, and what do you get? $63.18. So literally, even though oil was at $44 at the time, they were effectively, through currency translation, by selling by weakening their own currency purposefully, getting their whole economy and people to be down with it. They weaken with the price of oil, they sell it, collect more rubles. Once oil comes back, they strengthen their currency, and then they exchange the dollars for rubles. They're getting more. They effectively just got 50% more per barrel. Same thing happens in the 80 range. So you could do the same calculation up here, where it was at 81.31, and that's January 22nd, 2016. And I think oil was at a bottom too. So let's see. about like right here. You could say oil's at 29 bucks, say 29.60, right? So again, 29.60 while their currency is at 81.50. So 29.60 a barrel times 81.50 for rubles. You got back 2,412 rubles, right? So they go do that, then they wait again 3-4 months, April, May, it's back at 64, or if they held it till the end of their recession at 55, let's just for humor's sake, right? Oil was at $26 a barrel. They wait till the currency comes back to 55, 55.92. 55.92. They effectively got $43 a barrel when oil was at 26. So essentially, Russia's making double what the market is. Why do you think they'll cut and do it all that? So what I'm saying is we're coming into now the more sanctions on them. Oil's being really weird, and the price of oil has an effect. They have to balance their budget. That's what happened in 2014 to 2017. But now I'm seeing is that if Russia exited a recession in 2017, they could be entering another one, which could signal a depression. But the price of oil, what they're doing in their foreign exchange reserves, is going to be very important. But now I'm giving you an insight so you understand why. Okay, if this goes up, why would that benefit Russia, or why would Russia do it? Because to weaken your currency and destroy your citizens' wealth, especially in a place like Russia, where in 1998 any crisis led to outrage, and literally 1998 is how Vladimir Putin came into power. He was a security chief officer and came in power through those events. And really, Russia operated like China in a way. Now, this led to 2014, or what happened in China in 2015, I believe, and I'll share with that. But this is what I'm looking for. So to give you guys more of a background, let us read the financial crisis. Here's the Wikipedia page, and I'll add to it because I was reading this. I was like, they got this all fucked up. But I'm going to add to it so you guys see. But this is where a lot of people are not familiar that Russia, what happened in 2014 and 15 was bad. And the fact that it's kind of ignored, I'm thinking it's going to come back to life. And it crept up on us in 2014. And like I'm saying, the deja vu, where the oil market's at, the sanctions, the political climate, this could be responsible. And then again, it could lead to a trailing 6 to 9 month effect in China, Europe, and other places. So the financial crisis in Russia in 2014-15 was the result of a sharp devaluation in the Russian ruble beginning in the second half of 14. A decline in confidence in the Russian economy caused investors to sell off their Russian assets, which led to a decline in the value of the Russian ruble and sparked fears of a Russia financial crisis. So this is where I read this. I was like, yo, Wikipedia, you got it all messed up. It wasn't just a sell-off. It wasn't like they sold off like they did, in October here. It was because of the sanctions, and they bring it up here later. But it was because of the sanctions that they put on, oil was dropping in response to that, and people knew what was coming, and then the extra production from the US, but they talk about that as well. So they kind of got it, but lack of confidence stemmed from at least two major sources. The first was the fall of the price in oil in 14. Crude oil was a major export, declined in price by nearly 50% in its year high in June 14 and December 16-14. The second is the result of the international economic sanctions imposed on Russia following Russia's annexation of Crimea, and the Russian military intervention in Ukraine. The crisis has affected Russian economy, both consumers and companies in regional financial markets, as well as Putin's ambitions regarding the Eurasian Economic Union. The Russian stock market in particular has experienced large declines, with a 30% drop in the RTS index from the beginning of December through December 14. During the financial crisis, the economy turned to a prevalent state ownership, with 60% of productive assets in the hands of the government. By 2016, the Russian economy rebounded with 0.3 GDP growth and was officially out of recession. On January 17, Russia had foreign currency reserves, So that's what I'm going to go look for. I'm going to show you guys, and the thing you could see is that their foreign currency reserves were good, but you'll notice food inflation and every inflation is rising. We could go through these charts and I'll show you, but the trend, it's getting worse. And that's the same thing that happened in 14. It's not as bad. When you go look, 2014, 2015 was really bad for Russia, but that was the first change. As you see, it turned to prevalent state ownership. That is what Putin wanted. He said, okay, the outside, they're going to sanction us. They're going to try to, he saw it. Putin's a billionaire. Weird, you guys know how they are. They think, all right, well, everyone's against us. So they went and he just said, okay, yeah, everyone's against us. We're going to build everything here. We're going to do everything in the state. He funded it, tried to get people on. It was, socialist type stuff, but it worked. It got the people didn't, people were starving. It was difficult for people. They got through it, and now they're better off than before and less reliant on other stuff on the outside, which is going to be interesting. But here's the causes. It talks about the annexation in Crimea and all that. And then what happened? But here's the thing, the fall in oil prices. So this is where it talks about the budget, and you get to get more explanation of how this is why what I said makes a lot more sense. Russian economy depends largely on crude oil exports. In February 14, crude oil prices started to slide down due to the boom in American shale oil production. For every $1 decline in crude oil prices, the Russian economy loses billions of dollars. Price of oil fell from 100 a barrel in June to 60 a barrel in December. The drop in oil prices was caused by a drop in the demand for oil across the world, as well as increased oil production in the U.S. This fall in oil prices hit Russia hard, as roughly half of the Russian Federation's governmental revenue comes from the sale of oil and gas. Russia's economy suffers from Dutch disease in terms of a term economists use to describe a situation in which a country focuses on developing its natural resources to the detriment of other economic activity. In 2014, Russia needed an oil price of $100 a barrel to have a balanced budget. So this is where it gets interesting, because if maybe I'll have to make a lesson, this even goes into bond rates and how you even get a credit rating, which I'm worried about with the US, but your debt, how much money you get from taxes, you make from trade, all that. If you don't balance your budget properly, that's problems. And even then, the price, that's what I'm saying, holding foreign exchange reserves, the carrying value, all of that is a way to balance your budget. And that trick I just showed you is something they would be doing. So as prices of oil falls, Russia continues to sell its oil at operational capacity without the ability to dramatically increase in oil production to compensate for the lower price, and that's due to reduced profit from selling out oil. The government has substantially lower income. Russia is not alone feeling the effects. Venezuela, Nigeria, yada, yada, yada. So it says when the bottom happened, all that, give other different causes, and you guys could read the 1998 one. It was similar, where they were operating like China in a way, but the Russian government actually did the same thing. They devalued the ruble, but then they defaulted on their debt. And again, you guys see, anytime any issues happen with bonds, default, anything with bonds, the bond rates, and the currency, those always come hand in hand with a problem with the government throughout history. That's why I look through all the economy, not the government, excuse me. That's why I look at this stuff. You'll see it throughout history. It's not that, okay, the stock market dropped and then this is what the government changed the stock market. No, it's the government failed and they have to do something through either the currency, the value of the currency, the value of their debt, and how to raise. It's just how to raise money in and money out. Money out is how you could buy stuff, or how people could buy from you, and how they're going to raise money. Interest rates is raising money, and all that. It's just debt, government debt. It's funding. It's budgets and balances. So a lot of people miss that, but that's why I'm looking at that, and that's why I'm saying, if there is another crisis brewing in Russia, which I think there is, because if their currency gets out of whack again, if they have to go through another recession, I think it could be bad. I think it could maybe start social unrest there, which would be like 1998. But even then, I don't know if they would be prepared to do another devaluation. Their reserves are high, but it's half as much as it was in 2014. And adding everything else into the mix now with the economy, I think Russia could be just a silent killer right now, or a lot of people are ignoring. And again, they have a political motive, and they are kind of a political enemy. So I think it's going to be interesting. Let me know what you guys think. If you learned something, drop a comment, a like, give me your thoughts. Maybe I'll go into this in more depth. I don't know research, but I do want people to find more info on Russia, because that is what pissed me off on Mondays, that I was looking at the currency. I was like, what's happening? And we couldn't get any. It's blocked off. So we got to find ways to get that news. So I'll leave it at that. I love you guys. Happy New Year. Let's go.